Welcome to the Shooting Show. This week I attempt to call some difficult roe bucks and we talk to game crop guru Clive from King's Game and Conservation Crops. We're here today to try a spot of roe calling. My favourite call, the old faithful here, is the cherrywood. But I'm not going to use that today. I'm going to try two other calls for the benefit of the camera. The first being the ever popular Butolo. Very simple to operate. And this, very exciting, the electronic call from Mini Calibri. Already popular as a fox call with a fox card in there. I'm led to believe many of these units have been sold. It's got a number of roe calls on here, some red stag calls, and also a fallow fawn call. Here we go with a couple of the roe calls first. And this one, which I particularly like, terror call. And another, let's get down, flick through there. There we go. Excellent. Very keen to give this one a go. My best advice for rutting, really, you must see the deer chasing before you even think about trying the call. However, this year's rut has been a little bit of a non-starter. We're well into the first week of August now. The farmer did say to me last night he saw a buck chasing a doe, so we're going to go out a little bit blind, but at least there's been some chasing activity. But that's the first bit of activity that's been reported to me on the 3 areas that I manage. So this year, it's, as I've said, been a bit of a non-starter, but hey, let's go give it a go. The warm, muggy conditions are perfect. Picking a likely location at the intersection of 3 fields, I ready my rifle on the sticks. It's always preferable to zoom down your scope when calling, as the action is likely to be at close quarters. Immediately on the first call, a roe doe appears. Could there be a buck in tow? You have to be alert when tackling the rut and prepare for some quick shooting, as bucks can come rushing in. Be aware that the buck could be laid up anywhere, and he may come in from behind or circle to get your wind. I work the Mini Calibri caller from side to side, emulating a roe doe saying come and get it. After about 10 minutes of intermittent bleating, I switch to the terror call, simulating a distressed roe doe succumbing to an excited buck. When this works, the results can be electric, but on this occasion, nothing stirs. The rut certainly seems to be dull, despite the perfect conditions. Trying again at a couple more favoured locations around the farm produces nothing. Only curious hares show any interest in my calling efforts. Despite not drawing a buck, it's still fantastic to get this close to nature. Moving to another part of the farm, I spot a buck along one of the field margins out of camera shot. Swiftly but quietly moving downwind, I stalk within shooting range, stopping to call opposite where the buck disappeared. I'm poised and ready, but despite my best efforts, the buck never shows itself. Moving past the plantation and through an overgrown strip of land, I locate the buck once more on the edge of a field. Ranging the distance with the superb Swarovski EL range binoculars, at 130 yards it's a relatively easy shot,
but I want to see if I can draw him into the call. I try the Butolo, but to no avail. He completely ignores my efforts. Still visible through the long grass, I see a shot and I take it. I can't quite see where the buck has gone down, so I reload and approach cautiously, ready for another shot if required. The beast is down. I check the eye for reflex just to be sure, but I'm satisfied he has expired. To keep the venison in prime condition, I bleed the beast immediately in advance of the field gralloch.
Exciting stalk there. Clearly that buck wasn't answering the call, as it's pretty much been the same from this non-existent rut so far. We're into August now, and in this area we've just have not seen any rutting activity at all. As you've seen, we've tried the call in some very good locations where we know there's been bucks. Good areas to call to. But no, nothing happened. We tried this guy, give him a few squeaks on the Butolo, and he wasn't interested at all. I'm not sure whether the camera picked it up, but as he went into the grass on this headland, it did just stop and gave me a window of opportunity. Just saw the shoulder, took the shot, down he went, perfect. Kicked a little bit, we came in steady, just the job. He looks to me initially like he's quite an old buck. He's quite a thick neck, although he's thin. He is quite thin in the antler. I suspect he's quite an old animal. But that's another one to go on the tally. Job well done.
Making use of the fantastic Garland's roe deer tray, I load the buck into the rover, ready to take to the larder. But before heading home there is one more task, swapping the memory cards and the Reconyx motion cameras. Working 24/7, they're an essential part of my deer management equipment.
Well, as last year, it's been another disappointing rut for me here in East Yorkshire. It never really kicked off. However, around the country, it's been a different story. Albeit it was a late start to the rut, in many areas it kicked off and was some frenzy experienced. I'll leave you to my colleagues to hear what they had to say.
Orion Hunting Tours guide Nick Latus, who also hails from East Yorkshire, has experienced pretty much the same lack of rutting activity as I have. However, Nick did manage to call up a superb buck for Browning's finest, Andy Norris. It was one of only 3 bucks that came to the call in 3 weeks of continuous stalking. Nick said the rut was late and it never really got going. John Robson from North Yorkshire has experienced an awful rut, calling up dozens of does but only 3 accompanied by bucks. Last year John said he could have called from Sainsbury's car park and brought up a buck, but this year it's been disastrous. Interestingly, the bucks that did come in favoured the Nordic call and ignored the Butolo. Blaming the wet summer and late harvest, John believes a lot of does won't have taken and hopes for a better false rut later in the year. Wiltshire stalking guide Mark Brackstone endured the most stressful rut he has ever experienced. Normally all the hay, rape and barley have been cut before the rut in Mark's area, but the inclement weather meant everything was still standing. Because of this, he was unable to achieve his normal in-depth recce before the guests arrived. His guests, however, still got their bucks, but the quality wasn't what it would have been in a normal year. The Butolo call worked best for Mark. Scotland has fared better. South Ayrshire stalking guide Chris Dalton said this year has been a textbook rut with classic humid conditions. Rutting started early to mid-July in his area. Normally he expects activity at the start of August. It's been a prolonged rut going on for a good 3 weeks, and most rutting occurred between 7 AM and 1 PM. Chris's guests have grassed some excellent heads, including a few medals. And finally, it's been a similar story for my sidekick Byron Pace. His real job is operations manager of Orion Hunting Tours. Red has enjoyed a good enough rut, though activity was stop and start. He managed to call enough bucks in with his cherrywood call to keep his clients satisfied, despite struggling at times in the relentless rain. But in Red's words, that's hunting.
Rutting Roe clearly proving to be a problem there. And now, game crop guru Clive Wood.
This year's atrocious weather has affected the nation's shooting estates in more ways than one, I'm at King's Game and Conservation Crops test site with game crop expert and modern gamekeeping contributor Clive Wood. He takes me through the various options that King's recommends to gamekeepers.
Clive, this year has been a very difficult one to establish game crops. Can you tell me which crops have been successful?
Well, I think what we should do is have a look down the plot and me explain to you the ones that have been especially successful this year in a very difficult season.
Good stuff, do lead on.
Okay. So Pete, this one is King's Campaign Mix. The reason this was developed was to, shall we say, tick quite a few boxes that have been providing very difficult, some very difficult management strategies. It is compliant with the entry level. It's got the 3 seeds, which means that is the rule, that it has 3 seeds, an unharvestable mix,
yep,
of which no one seed is greater than 70%. It's got the spring triticale, it's got the spring linseed, and we also have in this situation here, being a more northerly location, we have the Japanese reed millet,
okay,
which is a slightly more hardy millet than a red or a white and tends to be a little bit more northern hardy. It's incredibly good for partridges, partridges love it, and it provides quite a nice bit of autumn and winter feed for small songbirds.
Excellent.
This is the one that certainly showed quite a lot of promise.
Looks well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does actually. Keepers like it because it's pretty guaranteed and it's got us through some fairly difficult times. The maize has often got the perception that it's sort of done and finished by Christmas.
Yeah.
I'd be horrified if I thought that's what we were going to achieve with this.
Right.
We want these crops to shoot through till the 1st of February.
This winter wildlife holding cover's clearly done very well.
This has been a very successful mix in an incredibly difficult season, and wherever I've visited, as long as they've used what you might call reasonable agronomic practice with slug pelleting and with flea beetle spraying in the early stages, we've achieved some very, very good results. At the moment it's scoring pretty high on my list for a lot of reasons this year.
So this crop is a cure-all?
I wouldn't say it's a cure-all. I don't think I think it would be wrong to say it's a cure-all, because I think that's starting to get maybe a little bit elitist, and I don't think we want to do that. But what I think we certainly have got is dialing out risk, and if there's one thing I think we're very, very keen on within King's, is trying to get our clients success.
Clive, Utopia, yeah?
Yeah.
This is the crop that they're all talking about at the moment.
Yeah, they are, and I think the reason why it was quite interesting to have a look at this is because a lot of people are phoning up at the moment saying, we've been told that Utopia is very fast growing. Is it the plant that's going to get us out of trouble at the moment? Is it worth us trying it? And I'm saying, yeah, it is a very fast growing plant. It's got a lot of the growth characteristics of a mustard, but it's also got the appearance and effect of a kale. This has been in the ground now for about 6 weeks. 6 weeks? This has been in the ground for 6 weeks, and if you can imagine, we're approaching sort of not quite knee height in growth, but I would think with another 2 to 3 weeks of this kind of conditions, these kind of warmer conditions with sun, there's no reason why we shouldn't be getting up to the waist. And just to finish up with, Clive, what's your concerns for the shooting season this year? Because a lot of shoots have got a lot of failed game covers. Yeah. My concerns this year are that we have a lot of people at the moment with a lot of birds going down on the ground, probably in a very vulnerable situation, relying now on a lot of catch cropping to get them through the season. If we have a mild winter such as we've had last year, then I think we've probably got very little to worry about. If we get a winter like we received 2 years ago, some of these catch crops maybe won't quite get us through, and that's why I think the message has got to be all the way through that we must manage risk. And looking forward to next year, I think the King's team of advisors are always very keen to come out and see you and try and steer you down the route of managing risk, because it concerns me that we've just got far too much risk out there at the moment. Okay, well, thanks Clive for showing me around the trial plots on the North Yorkshire Wolds. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Cheers.
That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. We're out every Monday, 7:30 p.m. UK time. This is The Shooting Show.